A human princess carried the fate of worlds into battle. Twin suns painted the horizon with deep orange and violet, and far off in the distance, the jagged spires of alien cities glimmered like shards of crystal. To anyone else, the view might have seemed beautiful, even peaceful. But to Alara, it was a warning. They were surrounded. Humans were weak, scattered, and outnumbered in a galaxy that did not think of them as anything more than pests. She turned back to the room behind her. It was small, filled with books, charts, and relics from generations long gone. She ran her fingers over a strange crystalline object that sat on the table. It pulsed faintly in response to her touch. She had found it in the ruins of the old human archives, hidden deep under the enclave. Scholars had dismissed it as a decorative relic, but she knew better. The artifact felt alive. It hummed with a power she did not yet understand, and somehow it seemed to know her. "Ilara," her tutor's voice called from the doorway. "You have been staring at that stone for hours. Come, we must discuss the council's plan." Ilara did not move immediately. She had spent countless nights thinking about this moment, about what it meant to be a human princess in a galaxy that barely acknowledged her people. Humans were not meant to survive in such a universe, and yet, somehow, she felt that they were destined for something greater. She tucked the crystal into her robe and followed her tutor to the council hall, her mind buzzing with questions and possibilities. The council was a collection of elders, each one bearing the weight of centuries of human history. They were cautious, wary, and too afraid to take risks. They spoke of diplomacy, of hiding, of surviving quietly among the alien powers. But Alara could see the truth in their eyes. They had no hope. "Your Highness," the oldest council member began, "the alien fleets near our borders are growing restless. They suspect we possess something valuable. We must be careful. Any rash action could bring war upon us." Alara's eyes narrowed. "Careful? We have been careful for centuries, and what has it brought us? Respect? Safety? No, only fear and weakness. Humans are counted as nothing more than a minor species, and we are treated as such. But that ends now. I will not hide any longer." The council murmured among themselves, unsure whether to admire her courage or fear her recklessness. "You speak of power, princess," another council member said, "but do you even know what you are dealing with? That artifact, it is ancient. Even we do not fully understand it. It could be dangerous." Alara placed her hand on the crystal once more. "I do not seek to control it recklessly, but I do know this: it is human. And if it chose me, then perhaps humans are meant for more than we have been told. Perhaps it is time we prove that we are not weak, that we are not expendable." The council fell silent. They had hoped for a ruler who would be cautious and obedient, not bold and daring. But Alara had made her decision. She would take the first step into the unknown, and she would do it alone if necessary. That night, under the cover of darkness, she left the enclave. Her starship, hidden in the cavernous docks beneath the city, waited for her. The engines hummed softly, ready to take her beyond the safety of human lands. Her destination was uncertain. The star map hidden within the crystal would guide her, but she had no idea what she might find. She only knew that humans had to claim their place in the galaxy or vanish entirely. The first jump through hyperspace was disorienting, even for someone trained in starship navigation. Stars stretched into long streaks of light, and a strange sensation of speed pressed against her chest. She clutched the crystal tightly, feeling its warmth, its pulse, as though it were alive and reassuring her. She was not alone. Humanity was not alone. Several days passed in near silence, broken only by the occasional alert from the ship's sensors. Strange signals flickered across the console, alien transmissions, faint but unmistakable, as if someone or something was tracking her. She knew it was only a matter of time before they found her. Then, the attack came. A massive alien warship emerged from a hidden warp gate, its hull bristling with weapons that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. It moved with precision, cutting off any escape route. Alara felt a cold thrill of fear. She had been preparing for this moment, but nothing could fully prepare a young princess for the weight of survival, not just her own, but that of her people. She issued commands quickly, guiding the ship in evasive maneuvers, weaving through asteroid fields and debris from long-dead planets. The alien vessel fired relentlessly, energy beams slicing through the void. Alara's ship shuddered with each hit. She gritted her teeth and focused. She could not fail. At that moment, the crystal glowed brighter than ever. A holographic projection emerged from it, a map of the stars with points of light marking hidden paths and secret routes. Alara realized with a start that the artifact was guiding her, not just to safety, but to something far greater. The aliens could track her, but they could not see what she could now. She followed the projection, diving through uncharted wormholes, emerging light years away from her pursuers. For a brief moment, she allowed herself to breathe. She was safe for now, but the artifact had awakened something else, too. She felt it in the hum of the ship, in the vibrations of the crystal. Humans had been chosen for this role long ago, seeded across the galaxy to rise when the time was right. And now, that time had come. In the quiet of the ship, Alara allowed herself to think about the future. She would need allies, crewmates who could match her courage, who could navigate the dangers ahead. She could not do this alone. She imagined humans who had hidden among alien civilizations, learning their ways, studying their technology, waiting for a leader to emerge. She imagined a human fleet that could rival the greatest alien powers, not because of size or firepower, but because of ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. The crystal pulsed again, as if agreeing. It was more than a relic. It was a guide, a protector, and a key to a destiny far beyond anything she had imagined. Alara felt a surge of determination. She was young and she was human, and perhaps that was exactly what the galaxy had underestimated. The first step had been taken. The path was uncertain, filled with danger and unknown enemies. But Alara would walk it, and she would not falter. Humans had always survived where others thought they could not. And now, the fate of worlds rested in the hands of a human princess. As the stars stretched endlessly before her, she whispered a promise to herself. She would not only survive, she would make the galaxy remember humanity. The weeks that followed were filled with careful exploration, charting new star systems, and studying the secrets of the crystal. Each discovery brought both hope and danger. Strange phenomena appeared in the void, nebulae that glowed with alien energy, abandoned ships drifting silently through space, and remnants of civilizations long destroyed. Alara studied each one, learning, adapting, and preparing. Her first ally appeared unexpectedly. A small scout ship, piloted by a human who had lived among alien worlds for decades, intercepted her. At first, he was wary, hiding his own distrust of others, especially a young princess daring to challenge the galaxy. But when he saw the crystal and the determination in Alara's eyes, he understood. She was no ordinary human. She carried the spark that could change everything. Together, they would gather more allies, more ships, and more knowledge. The galaxy was vast, and they were only a small part of it. But humans had never relied on size or strength alone. They relied on cleverness, courage, and the ability to do the unexpected. And Alara, the human princess, had all three in abundance. Alara and the human scout, whose name was Kale, moved cautiously through uncharted space. Kale had spent decades traveling among alien civilizations, learning their ways and hiding from the galaxy's watchful eyes. He knew survival required more than courage. It required patience, cleverness, and the ability to blend in where others would fail. Yet, even he could not hide his astonishment at the young princess who carried the ancient crystal. "You are far braver than I expected," Kale said as they floated in the observation deck, staring at a distant system of glittering stars. "Or maybe you are just foolish. The galaxy does not forgive mistakes." Alara smiled faintly. I would rather be foolish and alive than cautious and irrelevant. Humans have survived where others thought we could not. That is proof enough. Kale shook his head but could not suppress a grin. Your confidence may save you, or it may kill you. The difference is usually timing. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert. The sensors detected an unknown vessel approaching at high speed. Alara's heart quickened. They had already outrun one alien fleet, but there were others. The galaxy was full of those who wished to claim the crystal, to seize its power for themselves. The vessel emerged from hyperspace, sleek and dark, almost invisible against the black backdrop of space. It did not fire immediately. Instead, it hovered at a distance, scanning, observing, waiting. Alara's instincts told her this was not a simple patrol ship. This was a hunter. Kale's hands moved over the controls with practiced skill. They know we exist. They have been tracking us for days. This is no coincidence. Alara placed her hand on the crystal. It pulsed softly, as if acknowledging the danger. She felt a connection, a guidance she could not explain. The artifact had led them this far. Perhaps it could guide them through this next challenge. Without waiting for Kale's response, she activated the ship's cloaking system. The vessel scanned again, unable to detect them in the swirling shadows of an asteroid field. Alara maneuvered through the jagged rocks with precision, using the map embedded in the crystal as a guide. The alien ship pursued relentlessly, but humans' creativity and adaptability allowed them to stay just ahead. Hours passed, the tension never easing. Alara felt fatigue creeping into her limbs, but she did not allow it to show. She had to be sharp for herself and for humanity. If she faltered, everything they had built would be lost. Finally, the alien vessel gave up pursuit, disappearing into hyperspace. Alara let out a long breath she had not realized she was holding. Kale glanced at her, eyes narrowed. You are lucky. Most would not survive that. I am not relying on luck, Alara said firmly. I am relying on humans. We find ways when others cannot. That is who we are. Kale studied her for a long moment and then, surprisingly, he nodded. Perhaps you are right. Perhaps humans are more than I have ever believed. In the following days, they traveled to a remote system that the crystal had highlighted, a system largely ignored by other civilizations, with planets rich in natural resources and hidden strategic points. It was there that Alara met the next ally who would join her cause. On the planet's surface, amidst forests of towering bioluminescent trees, they encountered Lyra, a human engineer who had lived among alien worlds for decades, mastering technology far beyond anything her people had built. She had been hiding from alien authorities, waiting for someone to lead humans back to prominence. When she saw the crystal and recognized its power, she understood that Alara was the leader she had been waiting for. Lyra's knowledge was unmatched. She could repair ships with minimal resources, repurpose alien technology, and innovate solutions that others would never consider. Alara immediately knew that with Lyra, humans could turn every disadvantage into an advantage. We have to be careful, Lyra warned as they worked together on the ship. The galaxy will not wait. They will come for that crystal and they will not stop until they have it. You need a plan and you need more allies. Alara nodded. We will find them. Humans are scattered across the stars, often hiding, often underestimated. But if they have courage, skill, and belief in what we can do, they will stand with us. Over the next few weeks, Alara, Kale, and Lyra traveled from system to system, quietly recruiting humans who had survived in exile or secrecy. Each encounter was a test of character. Some were distrustful, some cowardly, and some were brimming with potential. Those who joined understood the stakes. Humans were no longer merely surviving. They had a chance to prove their worth to the galaxy. One of the most striking recruits was Jaren, a former mercenary who had spent years fighting in alien conflicts. He was cynical and practical, with a sharp mind for strategy and tactics. Yet, When he saw Ilara's determination and the crystal's glow, he recognized something extraordinary in her. He joined their crew not out of loyalty, but out of respect for a human who dared to challenge the galaxy itself. As their numbers grew, so did their ship fleet. Each human brought unique skills: piloting, engineering, combat, diplomacy, and intelligence gathering. Ilara realized that humans' greatest strength was not firepower or numbers, but adaptability and creativity. In situations where alien empires relied on rigid plans and overwhelming force, humans could improvise, exploit weaknesses, and turn the tide against impossible odds. But with allies came new challenges. Humans were not accustomed to working together on such a scale, and tensions arose. Differing opinions, fears, and personalities sometimes led to arguments that threatened the fragile unity they were building. Ilara, however, proved herself as a leader. She did not command with fear or authority alone. She inspired loyalty through example, courage, and empathy. She reminded them that they were not merely following her, but fighting for the survival and honor of their species. Their training and preparation were interrupted by another threat. An alien patrol discovered their hidden base in the uncharted system. This time the aliens came in force, dozens of warships moving in coordinated formations, intent on destroying the humans before they could gain strength. Ilara and her allies were ready. Using the skills they had honed, they launched a counterattack. Humans had always been underestimated, and they used this to their advantage. They deployed small, nimble ships to flank the larger alien vessels, using terrain, speed, and clever maneuvers to outwit them. Humans improvised new weapons and defenses using the crystal's energy as a guide. Even the alien commanders were surprised by their ingenuity. During the battle, Ilara led a daring mission to disable the alien fleet's command ship. With Kale at her side and Lyra coordinating their technical efforts, she piloted a small strike craft directly into the heart of enemy territory. The alien defenses were formidable, but Ilara's determination, quick thinking, and the crystal's guidance allowed them to succeed. The command ship was disabled and the alien fleet, leaderless and confused, retreated. The victory was not without cost. Several human ships were lost and some of their crew were injured, but the triumph was monumental. Humans had faced overwhelming odds and survived. They had proven their potential, and the galaxy, whether it realized it or not, had begun to take notice. In the aftermath, Ilara gathered her allies. They stood together on the deck of their flagship, looking out at the stars that stretched endlessly before them. She spoke with conviction. "We have taken the first steps," she said. "The galaxy thought humans were weak. It thought we were irrelevant. But we have shown that we can fight, that we can survive, and that we can lead. This is only the beginning. We will face more enemies, more challenges, and more dangers, but we will not falter. Humans are stronger than they have ever been given credit for. We will carry our destiny into the stars, and we will not be denied." The crystal pulsed in response, a gentle, rhythmic glow that seemed to echo her words. It was more than a relic, more than a guide. It was a symbol of human potential, a beacon for those who would join their cause. In the following weeks, Ilara's fleet grew even larger. Humans from distant systems, hearing rumors of the princess and the artifact, began to answer her call. Each new arrival brought skills, knowledge, and hope. The galaxy's perception of humanity was beginning to shift, slowly but surely. Yet Ilara knew that greater challenges lay ahead. The alien empires that had once dismissed humans as inconsequential would not ignore this rising threat forever. They would come in force, with fleets larger than anything humans had ever seen, determined to crush the spark of resistance before it could ignite into a flame. But Ilara was ready. With Kale, Lyra, Jaren, and the growing fleet of human allies, she would face whatever came. They would fight not just for survival, but for respect, for recognition, and for the right to claim their place in the galaxy. Humans had always adapted, always persevered, and now, led by a princess who carried the fate of worlds, they would rise to heights that no one had imagined possible. As the stars stretched endlessly before her, Alara felt a quiet determination settle in her chest. She would not stop, she would not waver, and she would prove to the galaxy that humans were a force to be reckoned with, clever, courageous, and unstoppable. The first battles had been won. The path forward was uncertain, full of danger and discovery. But the human princess and her growing fleet were ready to face it together. The galaxy would soon learn that humans were no longer to be ignored, no longer to be underestimated, and no longer to be dismissed. And in the quiet of the flagship, as she watched the stars shimmer and pulse, Alara whispered a promise to herself. She would carry the fate of worlds into battle, and humanity would rise. The galaxy had begun to notice humans in a way it never had before. Once considered weak and unimportant, they were now an unexpected force, moving through the stars with boldness and purpose. Princess Alara's fleet had grown, and with each new recruit, each new ship, humans were proving their strength, not in sheer numbers but in creativity, courage, and adaptability. Yet the greatest challenge was still ahead. The alien empires that had dismissed humanity as insignificant were gathering their forces. Rumors reached Alara that a coalition of fleets, commanded by the most skilled warlords in the galaxy, was moving toward the Veil Nebula, a region of space that held ancient secrets and untold power. The crystal in her possession had led her here before, revealing hidden pathways and safe passages. Now it pulsed more urgently than ever, as if warning her that the final confrontation was approaching. Alara stood on the bridge of the flagship, overlooking the preparations. Ships were being repaired, weapons tested, and crews trained for the battles to come. Kale, Lyra, and Jaren moved among the teams, giving instructions, coordinating strategies, and making last-minute adjustments. Humans had always adapted to survive, and now they were preparing to do so on a scale no one had imagined possible. "Your Highness," Kale said, approaching her side, "the alien fleets are more numerous than we expected. Estimates suggest we are outnumbered at least 10 to 1. It will be a challenge to hold the Veil Nebula against them." Alara's gaze remained fixed on the star map projected from the crystal. "Numbers alone do not win battles," she said. "They rely on predictable tactics, structured formations, and overconfidence. Humans, we are unpredictable. We find ways when others cannot. That is our advantage. That is why we will succeed." Lyra approached, holding a small device that emitted a faint glow. "I have been studying the nebula's energy fields," she said. "There are pathways we can use, hidden currents that the enemy may not know exist. With these, we can move our fleet through positions they will never anticipate. It will be risky, but it is our best chance." Alara nodded. "Prepare the fleet. We move at dawn." Every human must be ready to act with courage and ingenuity. We are about to prove what humans can do. The hours before the battle were tense. Humans worked tirelessly, running simulations, testing weapons, and preparing for contingencies. They shared stories of survival, of past defeats turned into victories, and of the resilience that had kept their species alive in a galaxy that had underestimated them for centuries. Alara walked among them, speaking words of encouragement, instilling hope, and reminding them that their courage was unmatched. When the first alien scouts appeared on the edge of the nebula, the human fleet was ready. Using the hidden currents that Lyra had discovered, they moved through the dense clouds of gas and energy, appearing in positions the aliens had not anticipated. Surprise was their greatest weapon. Humans moved swiftly, striking with precision and cleverness. The alien commanders had expected chaos, but what they faced was controlled, strategic, and relentless. Alara led a daring strike herself. Piloting a small craft with Kale at her side, she navigated through the narrow channels of the nebula, flanking enemy ships and disabling their weapons with well-timed attacks. Her leadership inspired the human crews. Seeing their princess at the forefront of battle reminded them that they were capable of far more than they had ever imagined. In the midst of the fight, Jaren coordinated the defense of the larger human ships. Using a combination of improvised weapons, strategic positioning, and keen observation of enemy patterns, he ensured that losses were minimized and that the fleet remained unified. Humans had always survived by thinking creatively, and now that strength was on full display. The battle raged for hours, the nebula lit by the flashes of energy beams and explosions. Aliens had underestimated humans once again. They expected them to retreat, to panic, to crumble under pressure. Instead, humans adapted to every new threat, turning disadvantage into advantage at every opportunity. During a particularly dangerous maneuver, the flagship was nearly caught in a trap set by the alien coalition. Alara's quick thinking and the guidance of the crystal allowed them to escape, using a hidden passage through the nebula that even the most experienced alien navigators had overlooked. It was a risky move, but it demonstrated what humans had always known. When others relied on rules and rigidity, humans thrived in unpredictability. Amid the chaos, the crystal pulsed more brightly than ever, projecting a network of glowing lines that revealed the paths of energy and hidden currents within the nebula. Alara realized that the artifact was not just guiding them, it was helping them manipulate the battlefield itself. With this advantage, they could outmaneuver even the largest fleets. The alien commanders grew frustrated as their carefully planned formations failed repeatedly. Every attempt to trap the humans was countered by ingenuity, courage, and improvisation. Alara's fleet, though smaller, moved like a single organism, coordinated and efficient, striking where they were weakest and avoiding direct confrontation where they were strongest. In the midst of the battle, Alara received a communication from a distant system. More humans had answered her call, bringing reinforcements and new ships with skills that added to their strength. She felt a surge of pride. Humans were scattered across the galaxy, underestimated and overlooked, but together they could achieve what no one had thought possible. The turning point came when Alara led a small strike team to the heart of the enemy fleet. Using the hidden currents of the nebula and the crystal's guidance, they bypassed the main defenses and struck directly at the command ships. With precision and daring, they disabled the lead vessels, causing confusion and disarray among the alien forces. The remaining ships, leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. Alara's victory was not without sacrifice. Several human ships had been lost, and many brave individuals had given their all. Yet the success of the operation was undeniable. The galaxy had witnessed humans at their finest, brave, clever, and unstoppable. After the battle, Alara addressed her fleet. "We have faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "We have proven that humans are not weak, that we are not expendable, and that we have the courage and intelligence to shape the galaxy's future. This is only the beginning. Greater challenges await, but I have faith that humans will rise to meet them." The aftermath of the battle was a time of reflection and preparation. Humans repaired their ships, honored the fallen, and trained new recruits. The story of their victory spread across the stars, inspiring hope among humans in hiding and caution among alien powers. The galaxy was beginning to see that humans were a force to be reckoned with, and Alara's name became synonymous with courage, leadership, and the indomitable spirit of her species. In private moments, Alara studied the crystal and the star map it projected. She realized that the artifact held even greater secrets, paths to systems rich in resources, hidden technologies, and knowledge that could elevate humanity further. The battle for the Veil Nebula was a test, but it was only the first step in a much larger journey. Kale approached her quietly one evening as she reviewed the maps. "You have done more than anyone could have imagined," he said. "Humans are being noticed now, but with attention comes danger. The alien empires will not forget this defeat. They will plan and they will come again." Alara nodded. "I know. That is why we must continue to grow, continue to unite humans, and continue to prove that we are not to be underestimated. We fight not just for survival, but for the right to exist, to thrive, and to take our place in the galaxy." Lyra joined them, holding a device that projected schematics of alien technology they had recovered. "With these, we can strengthen our fleet further. Adapt, improve, and innovate. Humans have always survived through ingenuity. Now, we have the tools to change the balance of power." Alara smiled. "Exactly. The galaxy underestimates humans because it assumes we rely on strength alone. But our greatest weapon has always been our minds, our courage, and our ability to rise against impossible odds. We will show them that humans are more than they have ever imagined." Over the following weeks, they continued their work. Humans trained together, shared knowledge, and built a fleet that was not the largest, but one of the most resourceful and resilient in the galaxy. Each success, each small victory, strengthened their resolve and confidence. Alara's leadership inspired loyalty and courage. Every human under her command knew that they were part of something greater than themselves, a movement that would define humanity's place among the stars. As the fleet prepared for the next phase of their journey, the crystal pulsed again, brighter than ever, illuminating pathways through the nebula and hinting at hidden systems beyond. Alara understood that this was a sign. Greater challenges awaited, enemies more formidable than those they had faced, but also opportunities to elevate humanity beyond its previous limitations. She gathered her closest allies in the command room. "The galaxy is changing, and humans are rising with it. We have proven that courage, creativity, and unity can overcome overwhelming odds, but we must be ready for what comes next. The next battles will test us more than ever before. We must remain vigilant, adaptive, and unwavering. Humans have a destiny to fulfill, and we will not fail." As the stars shimmered beyond the hull of their flagship, Alara felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She was a princess, a leader, and a symbol of humanity's potential. The galaxy had underestimated them for centuries, but no longer. Humans were rising, and under her guidance, they would carry the fate of worlds into battles yet to come. And as the crystal pulsed in the quiet of the command room, Alara knew one thing for certain. The challenges ahead would be the greatest they had ever faced, but humans would rise to meet them, unstoppable, resourceful, and brilliant. The Veil Nebula had been won, but the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of danger, discovery, and opportunity. And the human princess, carrying the hopes of her people and the fate of worlds, would lead them forward, undaunted, courageous, and extraordinary. The galaxy had begun to change. Rumors of humans rising against impossible odds spread through star systems, carried on whispers, transmissions, and tales of daring courage. Princess Alara's fleet was no longer small or scattered. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and unity. But with attention came danger. Alien empires that had once dismissed humans were now planning retaliation, their fleets converging on the Veil Nebula with firepower that dwarfed anything humans had yet faced. Alara stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking out at the approaching armada. It stretched beyond the horizon, countless vessels moving in perfect formation, their weapons gleaming, their engines humming with deadly intent. The weight of responsibility pressed upon her, heavier than any she had ever felt. The fate of humanity, perhaps the fate of the galaxy, rested in her hands. Kale stood beside her, silent but tense. "They will not show mercy," he said. "Their goal is complete destruction. We are outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched." Alara's gaze remained fixed on the fleet. "We are humans," she said firmly. "We survive when others fail. We adapt when others falter. They may have numbers and power, but we have courage, ingenuity, and unity. That is what they cannot understand. That is what will win this battle." Lyra joined them, holding a holographic display of the nebula's energy currents. "I have mapped every passage and every hidden flow of energy we can use," she explained. "We can move through the nebula in ways they cannot predict. If we act with precision, we can turn their strength against them." Alara nodded. "Then we act. Every human under my command must be ready to do what others say is impossible. Today, we fight not just for survival, but for recognition, for respect, and for the right to claim our place in the galaxy." The battle began with the alien fleets advancing through the nebula. Their weapons fired in perfect synchronization, attempting to crush any resistance before it could form. But the human fleet was ready. Using the hidden energy currents, small strike teams moved like shadows, flanking and outmaneuvering the larger, more rigid ships. Humans struck at weak points, disabling weapons, cutting communications, and creating confusion among the alien ranks. Alara led one of the most daring missions herself. Piloting a small strike craft, she weaved through the thick clouds of the nebula, navigating hazards that would have destroyed larger vessels. Kale monitored enemy movements while Lyra provided real-time adjustments, calculating paths that would allow them to strike key targets without being caught. The crystal pulsed constantly, guiding them, almost as if it had a mind of its own. As they reached the heart of the alien formation, they encountered the flagship of the enemy coalition, a massive vessel bristling with weapons and defended by an elite guard. Many would have seen the task as impossible, but humans thrived where others saw death. Using clever tactics and precise timing, Alara and her team disabled the flagship's engines, rendering it immobile. Chaos erupted across the enemy fleet as their leader's orders could no longer reach them. Meanwhile, Jaren coordinated the defense of the main human fleet. He deployed small squads to intercept attacks, divert enemy fire, and protect weaker ships. Humans had always survived through adaptability and intelligence, and he used every skill at his disposal to ensure the fleet held together. Even when a large alien cruiser attempted a direct assault, humans exploited its blind spots, striking where it was weakest and forcing it to retreat. Amid the chaos, Alara received a transmission from deep within the nebula. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but clear enough to be heard. A voice spoke in a language long forgotten by most, the language of the ancients who had created the crystal. It seemed to resonate with her, guiding her not only in tactics, but in understanding the full potential of the artifact. She realized the crystal was more than a tool. It was a bridge between humanity and the galaxy itself, a channel for knowledge and power waiting to be awakened. Alara felt a surge of clarity. Humans were never meant to follow the paths others had set. They were meant to create, adapt, and rise above expectation. With this realization, she devised a bold strategy, one that no alien fleet could anticipate. Instead of attacking head-on, she divided her fleet into smaller, coordinated groups, each targeting key points in the enemy formation, using the nebula's currents to appear, strike, and vanish before the enemy could respond. The plan was risky, and some ships would be lost. But humans had always thrived in risk, using unpredictability as a weapon. As the first wave of strike teams moved, Alara felt a sense of pride in her fleet. They were more than a collection of ships and people. They were a symbol of what humanity could accomplish when united by courage and ingenuity. The battle intensified. Energy beams lit up the nebula like a storm of fire, ships twisted and turned through the clouds, and explosions echoed across space. Yet humans adapted continuously. When an alien squadron attempted a trap, they turned it against them. When weapons fired, they improvised shields and counters. Every challenge was met with creativity and resolve. At one critical moment, a massive alien weapon, capable of destroying several human ships at once, charged toward their fleet. Without hesitation, Alara piloted a small craft through its defensive perimeter, guided by the crystal, and disrupted its firing mechanism with precise strikes. The weapon failed, and the alien commanders were thrown into confusion. This single act turned the tide of the battle, proving once again that human ingenuity could overcome even the deadliest of threats. The alien fleets began to falter. Their coordinated formations broke down, their attacks became disorganized, and their confidence waned. Humans pressed the advantage, striking at key vessels, capturing supplies, and rescuing isolated ships. The smaller fleet, underestimated for so long, was now a storm that no enemy could contain. Amid the chaos, Alara received a vision from the crystal. It revealed a hidden chamber in the nebula, a place of ancient power that could change the course of the battle entirely. She understood that accessing it would amplify their strength and possibly end the war in their favor. But the path was perilous, guarded by the remaining elite ships of the alien coalition. Alara gathered her closest allies. "This is the moment that defines us," she said. "We can strike at the heart of their strength and secure humanity's place among the stars. It will be dangerous, but we are humans. We survive, we adapt, and we rise. This is what we were meant for." With Kale, Lyra, and Jaren leading the strike teams, Alara guided her small craft through the hazardous currents of the nebula. Every movement was calculated, every decision crucial. The alien defenses were formidable, but they had underestimated humans' resourcefulness. Alara and her team fought with precision, disabling weapons, outmaneuvering enemy fire, and clearing a path to the hidden chamber. Inside, they found a structure of unimaginable design, glowing with energy that seemed alive. The crystal resonated with it, unlocking knowledge and power long dormant. Humans had never had access to such technology, yet with Alara leading them, they adapted quickly, learning to harness it for defense, strategy, and innovation. The hidden chamber became the center of human strength in the nebula, a symbol of their ingenuity and courage. The remaining alien forces launched desperate attacks, but humans, now empowered and united, repelled them at every turn. The fleet moved as one, each ship acting with intelligence and precision, coordinated in ways the aliens could not predict. Every maneuver, every counterattack, reinforced the undeniable truth: humans were not weak. They were unstoppable when united and guided by vision, courage, and ingenuity. As the last alien ship retreated, Alara allowed herself a moment to breathe. The battle was won, but more importantly, humans had proven themselves. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, not through sheer firepower, but through cleverness, courage, and unity. Alara addressed her fleet, her voice carrying across communications channels. "Today, we have done what no one thought possible. We have survived, we have fought, and we have won. The galaxy has underestimated us for too long, but that ends now. Humans are not to be ignored, not to be dismissed, and not to be feared lightly. We are here to stay, and we will rise higher than anyone has imagined." The fleet cheered, their voices echoing across the ships. Humans had always been underestimated, but now they were a force that could not be ignored. In the following days, humans repaired their fleet, studied the hidden chamber's technology, and prepared for the future. Aliens who had witnessed the battle approached with caution, some seeking alliances, others reluctant to attack humans again. Alara understood that the galaxy had changed. Humans were no longer the weak, unnoticed species they had once been. They were leaders, innovators, and heroes, capable of shaping the fate of worlds. Kale, Lyra, and Jaren stood beside her as she looked out at the stars. "You have done more than anyone could have imagined," Kale said quietly. "Humans will be remembered for this." Alara smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility and the surge of hope. "Humans have always survived," she said. "Now we will thrive. This is only the beginning." The galaxy will remember us not because of power alone, but because of who we are: courageous, creative, and unstoppable. The crystal pulsed, brighter than ever, as if affirming her words. It had guided humanity through danger, through battles that would have destroyed lesser species, and now it shone as a beacon for what was to come. Alara knew that humans had the potential to reach heights no one had dreamed of, to claim their place among the stars, and to carry the fate of worlds into the future. The Veil Nebula had been a test, and humanity had passed. The galaxy would never be the same. And Princess Alara, with courage in her heart and the crystal in her hands, would continue to lead her people forward, undaunted, brilliant, and forever human. For the first time in history, humans were no longer underestimated. They were unstoppable. A human princess carried the fate of worlds into battle.